Okay, here we are on lesson 15 of Unit 8, talking about quartiles and interquartile range. Big O fancy things, and it's not all that difficult. They have two dot plots that we're looking at, data set A and data set B. And if you were to look at it, they also have, by the way, the mean is where the triangle is, so 15 and 20. And what do you notice? What do you wonder about these things? When I see this, I look at data set A, I say, hey, this has got to be a kid's party because you've got all these 8, 10, 12-year olds partying it up over here, and there's only 4 people over the age of 35, 4 people over the age of 13, really. And then you go to data set B, it ranges from 7, and it's a lot more evenly distributed, I suppose, out all the way to 42. And there's not a giant clump of one thing. So there's still kids there, but there's some teenagers and middle aged, and then up to these folks over here. So looking at, again, I've already done this work, so we're going to talk about what this is. So in order, the first thing said, find and mark the median on the table and label it 50th percentile. The data is now partitioned into an upper half and a lower half. So there were 20 people here at this party. This was that dot plot B. So there's 20 people there. So right here, 20 is 20 people, and this is number 10 and 11. And they're both the same. So you'd add it together and divide by 2. So the median is 20. So if I put it here, I've now split the data up into 2 parts. Here's the lower half of the data, the younger ones, and here's the older half of it, the upper half. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 over here, and there's 10 on this side. So we've cut it in half. That's the 50th percentile. It's the median. I'll get to this in a second. B says find and mark the middle value of the lower half of data, which means I'm just looking at this half of the data, and we already counted out that it was 10 numbers. So if you go in there, you've got 5 here, or the 2 middle numbers are 10 and 11. You would add them together to get 21. Divide it by 2 gives you a median of this half of 10 and 5/10. So with that 10 and 5/10, that is our median of this half. And what that is called, it's the first quartile. That's what that means. So Q1 means first quartile. Why is it not 1Q? I don't know, but that's what it is. So the first quartile is down here. So now you'll see that I have the data cut up. I have here's 5, and then we're going to do the same exact thing over here. Here's the second part of the data, and there's 10 numbers again. We're going to add the 2 middle numbers together to get 58. Divide it by 2 gives us 29. So that is the median of the second half of the data, which is quartile 3. So when I split that up, now I have 5 numbers above that, and these 5 below it are in between. So now what I've done to the data is I've cut it into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you cut something into 4, think of a basketball game. It's cut into 4 quarters, or 4 quarters make up $1. That's where the term quartile would come in. So it's the first quartile, the median, or the second quartile, and the third quartile. And those are the splitting points of it. So yeah, if you were to talk about it, that would really be the fourth quartile. The next thing we did is label the minimum numbers. So you're looking at the smallest number, which is 7, the max number, the largest number, which is 42. And yes, and if you look over, this is on the top of that page. We wrote all these numbers in here to get that. Okay. Over here, talking about range. So all ranges, and this is a 5th grade thing, you should have done this last year. Ranges, you take the largest number, 12, and subtract the smallest number there, 6. 5 is not the smallest number because there's no dot above it, so it's not part of the data. So the range in this situation is 6. So interquartile range, big O fancy sounding term, also going to be known, you'll see it as IQR, interquartile range. So the interquartile range, all you do is you take quartile 3, in this situation it's 9 5/10, and you subtract quartile 1 away from it, which is 7 5/10. So the 9 5/10 minus 7 5/10 gives you the IQR, or interquartile range, of 2. Okay, and this data was already done for us, so it makes it fairly easy. If you go back to the last one, we were to find the interquartile range of the last thing. Quartile 3, 29. Quartile 1 is 10.5. You're going to subtract those two. It would give you an IQR of 18.5. Okay, so we look at question 4 from the homework over here. Question 4 says there are 2 dot plots that represent data sets. So immediately the first thing I do is I'm looking at it and just trying to soak in and figure out anything I can do. They both start at 14 and go up to 28. This one's smallest data point is 15. This one's smallest one is 23. And they both have a max of 28. So what I notice on this is that data set A is spread way apart and data set B is much closer together. Okay, so now I'm going to look which data set has the smaller IQR. And again, IQR is you're taking the third quartile and subtracting the first quartile. So if I was to look at the median of this without actually solving it, the median's probably somewhere in here. I would bet it's 25. Okay, so it's going to be one of these things, which means the first quartile is going to be here, the third quartile is going to be here, so it would be 27 minus 24, it would be 3. Here it looks like the median is probably, I would say, 22. That looks like about half the data, and that's half the data. So the first quartile is probably here at 17, and the third quartile is probably 25. So we have 25 minus 17, 8. And you don't have to actually do all that. You can look at this, and since they're so close together, you can tell that the interquartile range of this is going to be much smaller than this one. And then which one has the smaller range? Well, range, you just take the largest number, 28, subtract the smallest number, 15. That's going to give you a range, not interquartile, a range of 13. And this has 28 and 23, gives you a range of 5. So you're comparing those two. And that's how you do range, interquartile range. If you have any questions, please ask.